We're diving deep into a stack of sources today that, well, they paint this really remarkable picture. It's a country that seems to have figured out the ultimate 21st century challenge, how to blend millennia of culture with the harsh demands of a modern, fast-moving, high-tech economy. We're looking at Italy, and we have material covering just about everything: corporate investment strategies, specialized education.
Right, and then it goes all the way to social reform, inside prisons, and even landmark agreements with social media giants.
Exactly. So this isn't just about, preserving heritage. It's about actively leveraging it. Our mission today is to extract the key insights on how Italy is balancing these forces. They're treating culture not as a luxury or a footnote, but as a kind of strategic laboratory for growth.
Okay, let's unpack this central idea that tradition is the fuel for future innovation.
It's an exceptionally rich collection of data. And it's ranged precisely because the themes cross so many traditional lines.
You're right. I mean, you wouldn't normally find a financial report on bank foundations sitting next to a profile of a prison tailoring cooperative.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. But when you put these sources together, a really robust central theme emerges. In Italy, culture isn't just an asset to be put on display. It is the primary engine of value, of innovation, and critically, of sustainable economic success.
And when we look at the macro level numbers for 2024, I mean, that engine is running on jet fuel. We're talking about a huge culture-driven economic boom. The scale of engagement is just, it's staggering.
The visitor numbers alone are phenomenal. Museums saw a record 60.8 million visitors.
Wow.
And that generated 382 million euros in gross revenue. That's a massive post-pandemic resurgence, and it really shows the global appetite for Italian heritage.
And it's not just a small recovery, it's a genuine surge. I mean, look at the Colosseum. According to our sources, it nearly doubled its 2019 attendance figures.
Right, which indicates just immense value extraction from those cultural sites. And that value is deeply, deeply integrated into the economy. The data shows cultural tourism accounts for over 63% of all overnight stays nationally.
Over 63%.
And here's the global draw. Foreign visitors make up 57% of that total. It just confirms that cultural capital is being efficiently converted into economic activity.
Okay, so it's clear that culture is driving the tourism sector. But what I find truly fascinating is how Italian businesses are integrating culture directly into their corporate strategy, not just, their marketing department.
This is where the story gets really compelling. We have data collected over a decade showing that companies that actively invested in art and culture.
So things like supporting local theater or buying original art.
Exactly, or engaging in cultural foundations. Those companies saw their productivity surge by 75% over 10 years.
75%. That's an enormous performance delta.
It's huge.
Especially when you compare it to the companies that didn't pursue these cultural initiatives. They only grew their productivity by, 13%?
Just 13% over the same period. So that gap, it really begs the question, what is the mechanism here? How does buying a sculpture or sponsoring an opera actually make a factory floor more efficient? Well, it's about more than just decoration. The idea is that investing in culture challenges the whole organizational mindset. It breaks down the rigid silos that, naturally form in large corporations.
Right.
When you force engineers, marketers, and financial officers to collaborate on a cultural project, say commissioning a piece of digital art, it encourages nonlinear thinking. You're asking people to solve problems outside their domain, and that fuels creativity. And that innovation ultimately feeds back into product development and process efficiency.
But I have to ask, because this data is so striking, how do we know this isn't just sort of greenwashing or highbrow PR? Couldn't this data just show that wealthier, more successful companies can afford to invest in art and that their existing success is what's driving the art, not the other way around?
That's a crucial, critical point.
Mm-hmm.
And if it were just PR, you wouldn't see the systemic internal benefits that are documented in the sources.
Okay.
It wasn't just the 75% productivity boost. The benefits flowed directly to the staff. The average gross wages in these companies grew at 2.2 times the annual rate of other businesses.
Which suggests they're attracting and retaining better talent,
Right.
Because they're offering a more dynamic, enriching work environment.
Exactly. It speaks to loyalty and reduced turnover.
So the investment really pays for itself through efficiency and retention. What do the companies themselves say about the biggest gain?
When they were surveyed, 42% cited a stronger corporate culture and identity. They feel more connected to a shared mission. And while, sure, improved prestige was important, that was 32% critically, 12% view the cultural investment and a genuine tool for innovation. It's integrated into long-term planning, not just a temporary stunt. The consensus is that culture provides a real competitive advantage.
That idea of internal corporate dignity seems really powerful. So let's pivot to how this Italian focus on human value translates when it's applied to social impact on a much tougher human scale. And we have a powerful real-world example in Made in Carcere.
This is a perfect example of what you might call regenerative economics driven by human dignity. The founder, Luciana Del Don, didn't come from the social sector.
No, she had a 20-year career in finance. She was instrumental in creating Italy's first online bank.
Right, and she left all that to start this social enterprise in 2006.
That transition alone shows incredible commitment, and her core message is what resonates. We don't sell products, we sell life projects. The initiative employs incarcerated women, and they're wildly diverse in age from 22 all the way up to 75.
And they take discarded and surplus fabrics from fashion houses and upcycle them into accessories and other branded items. And the results are, well, they're transformative. The quantitative success is perhaps the most compelling part of this story. Recidivism among the women who participate in Made in Carcere is reduced by nearly 90%.
90%. That isn't just a powerful statistic. I mean, that is a massive societal saving. The cost of maintaining an incarcerated person is huge, let alone the social cost of repeated crime.
Exactly. And this is why Luciana Del Don coined a term to measure this success, moving beyond traditional financial metrics. She calls it BIL.
Benessere interno lordo, gross internal well-being.
That's it.
Let's just sit with that concept for a moment. Most nations are relentlessly focused on GDP. What does measuring gross internal well-being actually entail? How does it function as a counterpoint to GDP?
Well, GDP measures the output of goods and services, right?
Yep.
BIL attempts to measure the value of inclusion, dignity, and personal growth.
So it's not just are the women happy?
No, it's are they acquiring marketable skills? Are they gaining confidence? Are they reintegrated successfully into society? It's a holistic measure of human capital regeneration. If you reduce recidivism by 90%, you've generated immense societal well-being and economic efficiency that GDP alone completely misses.
It's prioritizing human repair as an economic imperative. And the initiative isn't stopping there, they're expanding this philosophy.
They are. They've established social tailoring workshops in underprivileged neighborhoods, and fascinatingly, they've started a certified organic bakery inside the juvenile prison in Bari. It shows a real commitment to transferable, modern job readiness, ensuring that the dignity they instill is rooted in practical skills.
Building on that idea of dignity and belonging, let's look at the concept of place and home. The Fonticelli Artist Residency in Frosinone in the Molise region. It uses culture to reaffirm a sense of belonging.
It's another powerful example of leveraging these deep, ancient cultural roots to generate contemporary value. The residency is based around a restored ancient mountain path, one that's rooted in Samnite history.
A civilization that predates the Romans.
Exactly. And the central theme for the artists is the concept of home.
And our sources specify this is inspired by the English distinction between house, the physical building, and home, which is the symbolic, lived, emotional space.
Right. And the artists aren't meant to simply retreat. Engagement is mandatory. They're tasked with creating contemporary works that reflect Frosinone, but also engaging the community through public workshops. They're using art to create modern meaning out of ancient spaces, encouraging the community to sort of re-inhabit their own past. It links directly back to that idea that culture has to be active, not static.
And that active investment in human capital has to start with education. It's critical for Italy's future economic success. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the data gets complex. Italy is experiencing a university boom. It's the 10th consecutive year of enrollment increases.
Up 5.3% nationwide. Yeah. Which is a great sign for the knowledge economy. But when you look closely, the growth is pretty uneven.
Very uneven. Central Italy posted a massive 14% jump. The South was at 6.1%.
What's perhaps most encouraging, though, is the talent retention.
Right. Regions in the South are getting much better at keeping their students local. Sicily, for example, increased its retention rate from 73% to 81% over the last decade.
And that ability to retain talent is crucial. The sources identify 3 factors driving this: better affordability, improving public services, and critically, the perception of better career prospects closer to home.
So let's quantify those prospects. Where do the graduates who stay local end up, and what are they earning?
Unsurprisingly, the top earning fields are overwhelmingly STEM: chemical, materials, nuclear, and mechanical engineering grads. They're earning 6 to 8%, above the national average starting salary.
Which is around 33,500 euros.
Exactly. So this just confirms where the high-level specialized market demand lies.
And we also see a premium placed on institutional prestige. Graduates from private institutions are reporting average starting salaries of, what, 44,300 euros?
Yep, 8% higher than those from state universities, which average 41,100 euros.
And that institutional boundary gets pushed even further by the elite universities.
Of course. Bocconi University in Milan, famous for economics and management, commands the highest average graduate salary. It sits a massive 23% above the national average.
It demonstrates the enduring power of brand, network, and institutional career placement.
So we have this healthy, surging university sector. But there is a serious structural challenge looming on the vocational side.
Which is just as necessary for a modern industrial economy.
Absolutely. The market is screaming for hands-on skills. You see the demand reflected in a number of dual training programs. Those requiring at least 30% on-the-job training. Those have more than doubled.
The willingness to train is there, but the pipeline is failing.
And that's the bad news. You have this critical skills gap, where only 37% of permanent jobs requiring vocational qualifications are being filled by recent graduates.
Only 37%.
And the crisis sectors are the backbone of modern European industry, mechanical systems and textiles. In those areas, the match rate, the percentage of jobs filled by qualified graduates, drops below 20%.
So why? Why is there such a massive, persistent disconnect? If the jobs are there and the pay is decent, why aren't students entering these necessary trades?
It's a dual problem. It's about cultural perception and structural capacity.
Okay.
Culturally, there's a strong legacy bias against vocational trades. Parents and students still associate mechanical work with, greasy machines, not the high-tech robotics and advanced diagnostics it involves today.
So there's an outdated perception that a STEM degree is the only path to dignity, ignoring the fact that a skilled robotic technician is often in far higher demand than a general arts graduate.
Precisely. And then there's the structural problem. The structure just hasn't scaled to meet the demand.
You're talking about the higher technical institutes, the ITHOL program.
Yes. They're meant to train these advanced technicians. They're highly specialized, usually just 2 years, focused entirely on the modern industrial environment. They're exactly what the market needs.
But
the output is minuscule compared to the need. The number of graduates from all the IT test programs is only 16,000 per year.
And our sources calculate that's just 1/5 of the national industrial demand.
1/5. So the educational system is structurally incapable of meeting the modern skill requirement, creating a massive bottleneck that threatens industrial growth.
Moving from structural skills gaps to cultural behavior gaps. Let's talk about the challenges that come with Italy's overwhelming cultural success. With record visitor numbers, they're now having to manage culture in the age of massive tourism and digital distraction.
The immense popularity is definitely causing friction, and this prompted the introduction of the Museum Etiquette Guide.
Right, which is basically an official plea for visitors to behave like museum goers and less like, well, content creators.
Exactly. And the guide wasn't created in a vacuum. It followed some highly publicized incidents, a tourist damaging a painting at the Uffizi while trying to take a selfie.
And another one breaking a contemporary artwork in Verona because they, mistook it for a chair?
They mistook it for a chair. It's a shift from appreciation to consumption.
So the 11-point guide is a necessary intervention. It covers everything from avoiding large backpacks and speaking softly to strongly discouraging selfie sticks.
And the director of the Uffizi captured the core issue perfectly. He said visitors sometimes behave more like influencers than art lovers. It's about reminding people that culture requires reverence, not just a rapid photograph.
Shifting mindsets is also happening in the digital governance space, tackling a far darker element of Italian society. This next point really connects the power of culture and language to modern security challenges.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture of maintaining national integrity, you see Italy taking a groundbreaking approach to fighting organized crime online.
Which is that unprecedented agreement between Italy's Parliamentary Anti-Mafia Commission and TikTok Italy.
It's a brilliant acknowledgement that organized crime today operates in a culturally coded digital space. The goal is to promote legality and fight content that glorifies organized crime.
Which is often deeply rooted in regional dialect, symbolic imagery, and specific gestures.
Exactly. So specific actions include specialized training for TikTok's trust and safety team, led by government and academic experts, to identify this coded language. Things like specific hashtags, emojis, or music that convey criminal association without ever explicitly saying the word mafia. It's an investment in cultural intelligence to maintain public safety.
This brings us right back to the heart of the economy. Our sources define the economy of beauty as 29% of Italy's GDP. Just to ground this for you, what exactly does that encompass?
Well, it's the integrated value of all things uniquely Italian. Fashion, high-end design, jewelry, premium agri-food, and of course the cultural heritage industries like tourism and restoration. It's where craftsmanship meets global demand.
So the question then becomes, what happens when this deeply traditional, human-led creative economy meets artificial intelligence? Are they afraid of digital replacement? Are artisans worried about a machine taking over their bench?
The data suggests not. And this raises an important question about the future of creativity. And the Italian corporate consensus is strong. Data from a recent survey shows 87% of Italian businesses that have invested in AI view it as support for creativity, not a replacement.
So they see it as a tool.
A powerful tool. They are aiming for what they call super creativity, the fusion of deep human intuition and heritage with machine power. AI is seen as an unparalleled tool for optimization or material science or rapid prototyping, but it can't replace the essential human element that defines Italian craftsmanship. That element is rooted in centuries of tradition. The challenge is seen as cultural, ensuring technology is woven into the creative legacy without losing its essence. Hashtag tag 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 outro Paoni.
So what does this all mean? We've analyzed a country strategically leveraging its cultural assets, from massive tourism revenue to corporate productivity gains, while simultaneously tackling some pretty significant structural challenges.
Right, like the skills gap and the digital dangers posed by both careless influencers and organized crime. The sources consistently demonstrate a national commitment to creating value based on well-being and dignity. The BIL concept and the phenomenal success of made in carcere, as much as based on raw profit.
Right.
And this confidence in human capital and cultural depth is what enables these unique regenerative solutions across all sectors, from prisons to polytechnics. This confidence is perhaps best summed up by the philosophy of Luciana Del Don, the founder of Made in Carcere. She stated that in prison, they have a saying: women find answers. Problems are for the incapable. So given the complex issues Italy is facing, from balancing the high-tech needs of STEM with the generation gap in traditional trades, to weaving AI into ancient craftsmanship, is this powerful belief in human ingenuity the real reason Italy is succeeding in turning its challenges into unique opportunities? Something for you to consider next time you think about tradition meeting the future.